It was the 14th of September 2007 when 14-year-old Andrew Gosden would board a train only to disappear without a trace. Andrew lived in Doncaster, England, with his father Kevin, his mother and sister Charlotte. He was known as a shy but very intelligent kid. According to his father, Gosden was described as possibly lacking street smarts and possibly susceptible to vulnerability. He was described as a deep character who remained composed and level-headed. Andrew's teachers portrayed him as a reserved and mature individual, exhibiting a shy and quiet demeanour. Andrew had friends, but liked to keep to himself and enjoyed his own company. The night before his disappearance seemed like any other night, with no signs of there being anything wrong. The next morning, Andrew was said to be having difficulty waking up and seemed particularly annoyed. His mother has said that this was unusual, as he was normally awake on time and out of character for Andrew. At 8:05 a.m, Andrew left his home and was seen walking through Westfield Park towards his regular bus stop by a family friend who was sitting on a bench in the park. Instead of taking the school bus, Andrew changed his route and headed to a cash machine at a nearby garage, where he withdrew £200 from his bank account. He was seen later captured on a neighbour's CCTV returning home. Later that day, when Andrew's parents returned home after work, they could not find Andrew and assumed he was just playing his Xbox. Andrew's school had tried to contact his parents regarding his absence that day as well. However, they called the wrong family by mistake. A few items have been noted as missing, such as his bag, his wallet, keys and his PlayStation Portable without the charger. At 8:30 a.m, Andrew left the house and was seen heading towards Westfield Park on a neighbour's CCTV. It was noticed that he bought a one-way train ticket to London from Doncaster. Andrew arrived at King Cross Station at 11:20 a.m. He was then seen on CCTV leaving the main entrance of the station at 11:25 a.m. This was the last time any footage of him was recorded. The police had combed through hundreds of hours of CCTV footage, but with London being so busy, they were unable to pick him out from the crowds. So I want to talk about some theories about why Andrew left for London. The band 30 Seconds to Mars was playing that evening, and a photograph was taken from inside the venue, which some speculate could be Andrew in the crowd. Another theory was put forward that he was meeting someone, but again, no evidence was found he was talking to anyone. To this day, we still don't know what happened to Andrew. In June 2018, the Gosden family had received a tip that someone online was using the username Andy Roo and was alleging that their boyfriend had abandoned them and they needed £200 for rent. When an offer was made to send money, the user stated that they did not have a bank account because they had left home at 14. The police looked into this, but the person was never identified. The latest development was on the 11th of January 2022, when an anonymous tip had detectives arrest two men aged 38 and 45 on suspicion of kidnapping and trafficking. However, both men were later released and were not involved in Andrew's disappearance. His family still hope and pray every day that he is found and still believes he is out there somewhere. To this day, Andrew has been missing for nearly 17 years. Brandon Swanson was born on January the 30th, 1989 in Marshall, Minnesota. He was described by friends as intelligent and funny, and an all-round good character. He was a college student at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby. The spring semester had recently concluded, and on the evening of May the 13th, 2008, Brandon attended two parties to celebrate. He was observed drinking at each event, but his friends had noted that he didn't consume enough alcohol to become intoxicated. Andrew left Canby for the 30-mile drive home before midnight, but this time for reasons unknown, he avoided the highway, possibly because he had been drinking and instead took the back roads. At around 2 a.m, Brandon called his parents, telling them he had driven his car off the road and into a ditch. His car could not be moved, so Brandon asked his parents if they could pick him up instead. His parents, Annette and Brian Swanson, hopped into their pickup truck and headed towards the location they believed he was at, staying on the phone with him. Despite some disconnects and interruptions, Brandon remained with his car, attempting to catch their attention by flashing his lights on and off, but they could not see him. He also couldn't see them signalling in return. Brandon eventually became irritated, asking his parents, "Don't you see me?" After waiting for some time, he decided to make his own way from his car and into a field heading in the direction of lights that he could see that he believed was from the town of Lind, which was about 7 miles southwest of Marsh. He asked his parents to meet him at a nightclub and a bar that was well known. About 2:30 a.m., about 47 minutes into the call, things took a turn. Brandon suddenly interrupted himself on the phone and said, "Oh." The call continued, but there was silence on his end. His parents hung up and called him a few times, but the phone just rang out. That was the last time he was heard from again. At 6:30 a.m., his parents reported him missing to the police, but the police did not take it seriously, saying that it wasn't unheard of for a college kid to stay out all night. Eventually, the police started a search and traced Brandon's phone and found he was 25 miles away from where he told his parents he was. His car was found in the ditch of a gravel road along the Lincoln County line, a mile north of Highway 68. Because of so much grass and gravel, it was proving hard to find what way he actually went. Sniffer dogs followed his scent after much searching to a trail near the Yellow Medicine River. His father had mentioned Brandon said he was passing fences and hearing nearby water. After that, the trail went cold. So where did Brandon go and what happened to him? Many theories suggest he entered the water and hypothermia took him, as it was reported to be very cold that night. However, his body never washed up. Another theory is that he slipped and fell into a hole in the ground, but this was never proven. As of right now, no physical evidence related to Brandon Swanson has ever been recovered. His phone, his car keys, and his clothes all remain missing. All that's left is his car and his last phone call to his parents. Because of the large area to search, some farmers have refused to allow search dogs onto their land, particularly during planting and harvest season, leading to difficulty in doing proper searches. A recent clue has been found when search dogs picked up Brandon's scent on a piece of farm equipment nearby. However, the farmer refused to let the authorities search his property. To this day, we are still no closer to finding out what really happened to Brandon. Karlie Guse was born on May 13, 2002 in Bishop, California. At the age of 2, her parents got divorced, and for a while she was living with her mother Lindsay. Karlie eventually moved to live with her father Zachary, his wife Melissa, and Karlie's 2 younger siblings. Karlie was described as a sweet and quiet girl by her classmates and her friends, and being well liked by the community. Karlie was living the typical teenage life. She had a boyfriend named Donald, and seemed to be in a healthy relationship with nothing to suggest anything was out of the ordinary at the time. However, things would start to take a different turn. Before her disappearance, Karlie began acting strangely, often becoming paranoid about certain things, such as claiming she was being tracked on her phone by someone. On October the 12th, Karlie attended a party with her boyfriend Donald. It was revealed at this party Karlie was smoking weed with some friends. It is noted that Karlie had previously had a few bad reactions to smoking before. At around 8 p.m, Karlie phoned her stepmom in a panic and asked her to come pick her up. Her stepmom drove down to collect her, only to find she had already left the party. She eventually found Karlie and decided to drive her back home. It's been said that during the drive back, Karlie was repeatedly scared for her life, with making such claims that the car was going to kill her, or that Melissa was going to kill her. Once back home, her father and stepmother recorded Karlie's voice using their phone, hoping to be able to show Karlie what the effects of drugs can do to you. Her stepmom tried to make Karlie eat something, hoping it would help calm her down and make the effects wear off faster. She offered Karlie a bowl of salad, but Karlie refused it, calling it the devil's lettuce, and claiming she needs to read the Bible. The full audio recording of that night was never released to the public. According to Melissa, she checked in on Karlie at 5:45 a.m. and found her asleep in her bed. When she went in again to check on her at 7:15 a.m, she was gone. A search of the neighbourhood soon began and a missing persons report was filed. At around 9 a.m, the police started the search along Highway 6 near White Mountain Estate and into the canyons and mountains with search dogs and helicopter support. On the morning of the search, a handful of witnesses had come forward saying they had seen her that morning. One of the witnesses who lived nearby says he had seen her walking towards Highway 6 while holding a piece of paper in her hand, all while looking up at the sky. Another witness claims they saw her standing near the highway. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing only sweatpants and a white t-shirt. no more sightings of Karlie have ever surfaced since that day. I'm going to talk now about some of the theories that have been put forward, with the most likely one being she wandered off into the cold desert while being disorientated and eventually perished due to the elements. During the day, the heat can be extremely dangerous, as well as the cold being just as dangerous during the night. It is possible she got lost and unfortunately never made it back. Another theory is she was picked up on the highway by someone. Sniffer dogs could no longer find her scent at the highway. It's possible she got into someone's car in her confused state and was driven off. It could explain why no more sightings or evidence around that area has ever surfaced. Karlie's mother Lindsay suggested that Karlie could have died from an overdose and that Melissa and Zach had hidden what had happened. However, this was never confirmed and the couple were cleared of any wrongdoing. There has been no sightings of Karlie since then, and not one bit of evidence has ever turned up. This photo is an age progression picture of the 3 missing persons, showing what they would look like today. If you find this video interesting, please consider liking and subscribing, and stay tuned for the next video.